Alright, so this video is going to be a lot less fun for the people who have enjoyed my other videos on Malachi, right? But I felt that this one is one that I wanted to say for a while. I've made some of these points in the other videos in this series, if you want to call it that. But this one's going to be quite different, because this is strictly going to be something that you don't see a whole hell of a lot of from me. But it's going to be sympathy, which again, you don't see a hell of a lot of from me. But, and truth be told, like, even though this title is, an honest message, all of my other ones were honest. They still are. But there's a reason I'm so tough, and there's a reason I'm the way I am. Because I believe being tough sometimes is what people need. And I'll admit I can be pretty mean-spirited with it. But sometimes I think that's needed. But that's not the case with this video. That's not the intent. So with this one, what I wanted to say, no jokes, no insults. Malachi, the reason I am the way that I am is because I want you to improve, and I don't want you to make a decision that you will regret several years down the line. And I've said that in my other videos, but this one I just want to make that absolutely clear. I understand that it's tough growing up. Believe me, I do. I certainly haven't gone through all the things you've gone through. This is the one and only time I'll bring this up. I understand that you lost your mother at a young age. That's terrible, and I'm genuinely sorry for you for that. I can't imagine how horrible that is. I can't personally say I understand that, because I have not yet had that happen. Right? Because of that, obviously that's something that I have yet to experience. And again, I will never bring that up again, because that is not something that is my right to get on you about. And that is a line I draw. That is something I will not toy with you with, ever. And I understand that you're at an age where you're going through a period of self-discovery, which we've all gone through, myself included. For instance, when I was young, right, I wanted to belong. We all do. We all want to belong. So, in around 4th grade, I started acting out. And I was doing all this to impress a girl, right? So I would act out, get in trouble at school, caused a lot of problems. After that, I was put into this sort of institution, in a sense, where they put me in because of my behavior. This institution was horrible. If I acted out there, they would sometimes put me in this small room where they would seclude me. And that would, they'd keep me in there for extended periods of time until I calmed the fuck down. So, I went through that. And then they started putting me on all these different medications to try and calm me down. So I went through that, and once I was done with that institution, I transitioned back into school, going into a special ed class, not because of learning disabilities, but because of behavioral reasons. I was taken out of the mainstream, as they call it. So going through that class, it stunted a lot of my social skills. And with that, I understand the need to belong. And I ultimately think that's what you're going through here. And I think part of what I was doing back then was trying to prove something. And I want to say, Malachi, you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to change yourself fundamentally to try and adhere to what is popular or trendy. And I know you're going to deny that and say that I'm full of shit and that I don't get it. And truth be told, the trans issue wasn't as big of a thing back when I was in school, back when I was your age. So I definitely don't understand that particular part of what you're going through. Now, obviously, I don't think that is the right decision, and I've made that pretty clear. Obviously, I am no fan of transgenderism. I've made that pretty clear, too. And obviously, I'm a flawed person, too. I've got my biases, my prejudices, whatever you want to call it. I think we all do. But I do understand wanting to belong. Like I said, I threw away all my mainstream status in school just to impress a chick. Again, not the same thing, but that's what I was doing, right? But you want to know the kicker? As soon as I was back in school, as soon as I had gone back, and I was in the same school with the same chick, she tried to ask me out. And you know what I did? I pussed out. That's what I ended up doing ultimately. Now, I don't regret that. It's fine. Ultimately that wouldn't have gone anywhere probably. But still, it's something that happened to me. And, I think I was trying to prove something back then. When you got to realize, you got nothing to prove. It's not necessary to prove yourself like that. So going through that, I obviously went through all sorts of phases. And as I got older, when I hit around your age, as a matter of fact, I went through a period of self-discovery. And you may not believe this, given the fact that you view me as a far-right extremist, which I'll admit, I'm on the right. I've got no secret about that. And the views I express in my videos are my honest views. But did you know that when I was your age, I went through a phase where I was extremely leftist? And I think part of that came from, number one, trying to belong, and number two, it came from a good place. It really did. I was trying to empathize, because the thing is, a lot of the left's talking points and things like that are trying to appeal to people's sympathy, their emotions, their need to belong. They try to act like they are caring. And I think that many people on the left are caring. I just find that they are misguided. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to change your mind on that. That's whatever. At the end of the day, I just don't want you to make a decision that you will ultimately regret. And I think that you could. As I said, I can't relate to the loss that you suffered at a very young age. The closest loss that I've had was my great uncle, who died just a few years ago. So obviously I was already an adult long before that happened. So I can't pretend to imagine what that was like. And I can't pretend to imagine whatever other personal problems you've gone through, because I'm not you. I don't even really know you. But part of the reason I'm so tough on you is because I feel like you are surrounded with a bunch of people who are yes men. And you're going to deny that. You're going to tell me I'm full of shit. You're going to tell me I'm full of shit right now, I'm sure. I know that because I did the same thing when I was going through my own period of self-discovery. And, you said in a comment, for people who hate you, which I don't. I don't hate you, Malachi. And you may find it insulting that I'm still referring to you as Malachi. Again, I've made my position pretty clear on that. But I'm not here to harp on you for that. Because at the end of the day, I think you're still trying to find yourself, and I think that you're somewhat lost and misguided. And again, you're going to tell me I'm full of shit. I know. But I just don't want you to make a decision that will destroy your life. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the changes that are made in the pursuit of changing gender identity and things like that are irreversible. I would encourage you to look into people who've detransitioned, and you'll probably bring up some talking points about that. Probably say that it's inaccurate, or you'll bring up some college bias study that supports it. But I'll rebut with this. The widespread trans acceptance that there is now hasn't been a thing for very long. And I think in the future we will have a large wave of people who regret making that choice and will be angry at all the people who let them make that choice. And that's why I'm so harsh. Because I think you need some harsh realities in order to not make that decision. At the end of the day, you're going to make whatever decision you make. And I hope you don't do anything irreversible. Again, I'm pretty mean, and I've made no secret of that, obviously. But I do sympathize. And I started watching you forever ago because I liked seeing your channel grow, because it reminded me a lot of my early channel. Because, like I said, I used to hold a lot of the viewpoints you hold. At least, maybe not the same exact viewpoints, but very similar ones. I used to consider myself a socialist, which obviously I absolutely do not now. But I went through a phase of that. And again, I understand the want to belong and the want to be caring and give to other people. And I think that's how a lot of people get wound up in socialism. And I ultimately think that that's why the trans movement is so big as well, is the wanting to belong and the wanting to be kind and caring to everybody. Not wanting to accept, or not wanting to offend people and make them feel accepted. But I can tell you this right now. Your genuine friends and family would have accepted you even if you didn't do this. And I understand that there's insecurities and things like that. And I'm not trying to insult you by saying that. I think we all have our insecurities. After I went through those, special ed programs, whatever you want to call them, My social skills were stunted for a very long time. In high school, my first year, which would be 10th grade here, all of my friends were seniors, so they graduated the very next year. And so I tried to reconnect with some old friends that I had from middle school. I was rejected. Those old friends abandoned me in favor of someone else because that someone else didn't like me. And so I felt betrayed. I felt alone. I felt lost. And that's when I started to go through my leftist phase. I can't pretend to know whatever circumstances you went through to get you to where you currently are. And again, I'm sure you're going to dismiss pretty much all of this. But I would encourage you to not make any decisions that will change you irreparably. Because I think that you could be a very good person. I don't think anyone is a lost cause. And that is why I've been so harsh. Now, you may think, well, if you really care that much, why were you defending other people and stuff like that? Like people who are against you or people who said things they absolutely shouldn't have said. That is because I don't think those people are lost causes either. And I made my opinion pretty clear on the initial statements, with the Andy situation, for instance. His initial comments, I made my view pretty clear when he was, using your biological gender terms. I made it pretty clear that I thought he was in the right. Obviously, this was before he made that bad comment, which I don't think was in the right. But the interactions I've had with Andy led me to my assessment of his awful, awful comment. And that is why I came apart taking a very different view than you did. And I understand why you took that view, because he made that horrific comment to you, and you felt personally attacked and harassed, which I completely understand. Again, I didn't have very many friends in high school. I was pretty lost and alone and angry, and I hated people. I don't come from a place of hate when I'm being cruel to you. I know that's crazy to hear because I've been pretty mean. But that's true. And again, you're probably not going to believe it. But at the end of the day, I do want you to succeed. I do want you to get better. I do want you to better yourself. And that's why I'm the way I am. I went through all sorts of phases and things, and I would also remind you that not that long ago, you weren't that far off from myself in the things that you were saying that you believed. And I will just point out that when you're young especially, your opinions will change multiple times. Happened to me. I've gone through all sorts of phases. And I would encourage you to at least give some thought before you make any decisions that are irreversible. I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I do really want to grind the point home and show you that though I've been pretty mean, I'm not coming from a place of malice. I'm doing it because I care. And I'm sure you don't believe I care. I'm sure you think I'm full of shit. I'm sure you think I'm just trying to push you the other way, which is not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to help you understand that you need to think these decisions through. Obviously, you're an adult now. You can make your own decisions. And obviously, you're probably not going to listen to me. Just like I didn't listen to people who tried to push me out of the crazy beliefs I used to have. Again, not the same thing, because the trans movement wasn't anywhere near as big, if it was practically non-existent, at least in normal discourse. And at the end of the day, I want you to better yourself. I want you to succeed. And I'm sorry for all of the hardship that you've gone through in your life. Whatever those hardships may be. Again, I don't know what your personal circumstances are, other than the ones you've shared on YouTube and Facebook. And I hope that you can get better, and I hope that you can improve. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to let up and suddenly just be like, oh yeah, I'm nice all the time now. But I thought it was important to show you where I'm coming from. Whether or not you're going to listen to it, whether or not you're going to accept it, I think you need to hear this. And again, I'm sure you're just going to tell me I'm full of shit. Which I get. But I've said my piece. And I hope that you can do better. I will say, Chisu was coming at you from a genuine place as well, because he did struggle with that particular part of your current situation. He did go through those struggles with gender and things like that. And I did not send him to tell you anything. He did that completely on his own. And he was coming from a genuine place. Whether or not you believe him, whether or not you think he's brainwashed, he was being genuine. As am I right now. As I've always been, even though I can be snarky and rude. Anyway, I hope that this helps you in some way. I'm sure it won't. But please try to think about it. That's all I have to say. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.